What is up, YouTube? Fancy Pollock here again. It's been a little bit since my last video. It's probably going to be a little bit before the next one as well. I'm just going to be installing some new parts I got today, which are in that box right there. Yeah, I've been kind of preoccupied with other stuff. We've had a lot of family events going on, birthdays, other events, and I also got a mower that I was fixing up, put a new carburetor on that. So if you notice the bits and pieces of my mower in the background, that's the thing, that's the problem. We're gonna get this stuff installed today. It's the RokBlokz fender flare extensions and the trailing arm guards. So I'll unbox them probably later today or tomorrow and include that in this video and the install. Let's get this thing unboxed and see if we can get them installed. Looks like it comes with some Smarties. I'll be having those later. And of course, some good old stickers for my sticker wall. Tell you what, the packaging, it's like everything was taped to the box, so it's kind of difficult to pull out of the box. Yeah, like everything's taped together weirdly. But I'd rather it together than not together. I'll get the rest of this laid out on the table. See you guys in a second. So we got QR code instructions for the Fender kit and for the trailing arm kit. I'm probably going to start with the Fenders because those are going to be most useful. I also got a thank you from RokBlokz. Yeah, we will get going from there. I'm assuming this is for the trailing arm, which is these bolts here, so I'll put that aside for now. And everything else is for the fender flares. So I went with the gray color for the accent pieces. It doesn't exactly match to this white and gray, but it's close enough that I think it's better than just having it all black, because all black is just boring. We're gonna try this out, see how it looks. If I don't like it, well, I can change it later. You can order the accent pieces separately if you want. But yeah, let's get started on this process. The instructions say to remove these 6 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are T30. It looks like the instructions say T25, but T30 is what's on my machine, which is a 2024. So they might have just changed the bolts up a little bit over the years. But yeah, we'll get those undone. I don't know why I'm working so hard. I have this and I can set it to the low setting here, so it's not super torquey. What nut is that? Alright, I'm gonna wipe this down before I put stuff on it. Next, we're going to attach these little brackets up to the machine at this location, and I believe at this little hole location. So the front one's going to reuse the OEM bolt and nut, and the rear one over here is going to use one of these self-drilling or self-tapping screws. Just do it loose for now. Let me measure and make sure this is the right hole I'm using, because they said it's 8 inches behind the first one you mount. That is about 8 inches. We'll tighten that up later as well. It says to use these ones, these countersunk bolts with the fancy washer and these lock nuts on these J brackets. tighten those up. So we're going to take these bolts and washers and go down the first 4 holes here, and then we're going to leave that bottom one open. That's what those look like with the other holes open. Now it says to press in these flange nuts into the non-etched side of this. So this is the etched side, so we're pressing it into the non-etched side. Might as well do both sides while I'm here. These 3 holes line up with this, and that hole lines up with that bottom hole. The longer bolt goes in this hole on the left, down here. The other 3 go on this side through it. Gotta admit, that looks pretty good, especially with that little accent piece. Pretty easy to put on. Just a lot of order of operations you gotta follow. I think it looks pretty good. I'll probably just do a time lapse for the other side, and then we'll get started on the rear. The fronts are officially on. That's how that looks from the top. I think they look pretty good. I used to not be a fan of Fender flares, big ones, but the look's kind of grown on me. I like the way they look. I think it would look better if this machine had 32s instead of 30s. I think for the time being it looks pretty good, and it's function over form of all things, because I hate getting rocks and stuff up in my face when they go flying up when you're riding down gravel roads. Nice thing is those accent pieces have thumb screws, so they're able to be taken off easily, so I can just unbolt those before we hit the trails in West Virginia, just so they're not going to be dragging over anything if we're crawling over stuff. I don't know how the trailing arm guards are going to go, or if they're going to be with thumb screws or not. I don't know if they will be, but we'll see in just a few minutes here. Instructions say to use this XL brace, since this is the XL version, the 72-inch. Use this brace, and then we're going to use the countersunk bolts with the lock washers on the other side with washers as well. And these 3 holes. Of these through these holes. There's one flap assembled. Let's get the other one out of the way too. Just remove that nut there and this T20 Torx bit here. So we'll go ahead and get those removed. So it says to secure the fender with the bolts and washers. One there, one there, one there, with the bolt going through this side and the nut on the back side with also a washer. Since, as you can see, this is just plastic. It also says to secure with the washer, the back screw, and the original nut. sure how you're supposed to reach that one. They really don't leave you much room to get that nut in there. They say you need to align these with the fender, the inside of the fender, mark your holes, and drill them out with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Go find my drill bit. This little lip here, so I'm not going to go over, I'm going to go right next to this lip. There's a lip right here, so it's kind of resting against it, so it's nice and flat. And of course attached with nuts and washers. That's all she wrote for this side. Not the worst install ever, but there was some like this bolt here particularly sucked, and the bottom one here, there's actually the body that interferes with it. I don't know if you can even see there. I kind of drew it a little into somewhere where I didn't want to, but I mean, this thing it's flexible, but it's solid. Should hold up on the trails just nice. Well, let's get the other side done. Fender flare extensions on. I think they look pretty good. Man, it really makes this thing look crazy wide, and those fronts match. And I just gotta get the trailing arm guards on. Although we'll see how much effort those take, because I'm gonna be in West Virginia. They're gonna be kind of dragging on rocks and stuff. Yeah, we will see. I think I'm gonna do the trailing arm guards after the trip, just because I don't want them to get worn out immediately. Spend a lot of money, but basically these things just bolt to the sway bar in a little hole there and then kick down here. So I guess my concern is that it'll be rubbing up against the when we go over rocks and stuff. I mean, it depends on how hard we'll go. Maybe I'll bring them on the trip if I don't think that it's a big deal after we do some days of riding. But yeah, that's about it for this video. Probably the next one will be in West Virginia, so I will see you guys there. See ya.